Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Diabolical Dave's Rumble Throwdown, which is brought to you by Grimsteel Games. It's for 3 to 6 players, ages 14 up, and games generally run about 60 to 180 minutes. Diabolical Dave's Rumble Throwdown is a board game that captures the excitement of the golden era of pro wrestling, pitting players or wrestlers against each other to vie for the ultimate prize, the DWC World Championship Belt. You will start your wrestling careers at the bottom ranks of the DWC. Each round or weekly event, you will face off against a colorful cast of superstar challengers and get rewards for winning matches with better moves and gear to rise through the ranks from the opener tier to becoming a main eventer. The first player to win and defend the DWC World Championship is the winner. With over-the-top action, unique superstar opponents, and other players providing move-by-move commentary for every match, DDRT delivers action and humor at every turn. Welcome, rookie, to the Diabolical Wrestling Council, the DWC. So the game is divided into a 4-week cycle, really meaning there are 12 rounds to the game. Each week is 3 rounds. So starting week 1, you start at the beginning, and then by week 4, you are hitting those big pay-per-view events. And by the end, you hope that you have the highest level belt. But along the way, one player at the table will always be playing the commentator. So each of those event cards will have 2 sides, where you have a commentator side and you have a referee side. If people try to do illegal things, you're rolling dice to see what the outcome might be. Also, on the commentator side, you have a chance to roll against that as well, and you as the commentator will add colorful flavor throughout the matches of that particular round. And you can add in anything you like about their attire, about the different wrestling moves that are happening, that there's no way this wrestler can possibly win the match wearing a cape like that. All kinds of interesting things that you can dive into to role play around this game. Now, there's several different types of cards in this game, card decks that contain many different types of things. Now, first we have our superstar cards. These are the wrestlers that you're going to be battling against. And you have your title cards, the belts that you're after, and you'll randomly place a superstar in each of those that currently holds those belts. Those belts potentially change hands quite frequently. Now, your main superstars, this is the deck that you're going to be tapping into to kind of cut your teeth in the ring, so to say, as you battle against these lower level superstars and to build yourself up so you're ready to go after those big heavy hitters in the ring. And also, you have some ring cards that really set up the flavor of your wrestler, maybe your fighting style, and just give you some useful cards from this deck as well. And then we have gear cards, and obviously there's special gear here, but also attire for your different wrestlers like capes and boots and things of that nature. And then also mainly your moves. All the moves that you're going to be performing in the ring are going to come from this deck. Now, you as a wrestler will get your own board, and there's really 2 sides to this board. You have the heel, which is really the bad guy in the ring, and then you have the face, which is the good guy in the ring. And your currency in this game is going to be crowd points, but for the good guy, it's known as pop, and for the bad guy, it's known as heat. So, what's also interesting though, no matter which side you pick, based on which card you're playing and what happens in the ring might change your alliance with the good side or the bad side, and you'll be adding tokens to the board, and once you've reached a limit here, you'll have to flip it over and become one or the other. And I like that aspect because it really kind of dictates how your wrestler might evolve through the course of play. Now, the main things that make up your wrestler, especially in cards, is you have style and gimmick, are really kind of the 2 key things. Title's going to be if you win a title belt, that's where you'll put those cards. And then, of course, you can hire a manager if you see fit. Around the board, you'll be placing different types of moves as you engage in battle and so forth. But, you know, starting with the style card, this is your fighting style. Here, I went with the flyer because I want all those aerobatic moves. I want to jump from the ropes and attack. So you'll see on the left of the card in red what you're the best at, and on the right of the card is what you're the worst at. So here, I am terrible at technical wrestling. So if someone goes up against me that is excellent at that, then they'll get a +2 because that is my weakness. And same with you. If you go up against someone who has a weakness for aerial attacks, you will get a +2 in those attacks and when you battle against those wrestlers and so forth. And then you have these gimmicks, and I like this one because it is a superhero villain gimmick, and I went with superhero, obviously. And through here, you'll get various things and abilities as well. And all these cards in general that you see, and especially the move cards that you'll be putting into play, you'll be spending currency on that we talked about in order to activate those cards and so forth. So I also went and got the cape, which gives me a +2 as a superhero, which I love because that kind of sets up who I am initially for battling it out across the board. So on the board, you'll see first, we have an opener. That's going to be opening level of your character and what level you can potentially go up against. Currently, I am at a 4 because I have the cape. I have different things about my character. I maybe have won a couple battles. I have some tokens showing that I have won, which add to my power or strength overall. And then you'll see as you move up from there, you go to the mid tier and then finally the main eventer. So lots of interesting things about how you move up through those ranks and gain even more strength. And if you lose battles, you will start to lose strength as well. So to start the game off, you'll get a couple style cards and a couple gimmick cards, and you'll get to choose which ones to start the game with and discard the others. You'll get a series of the gear cards with all the powers and moves that you're going to be using, as well as you'll get those crowd tokens that we talked about. In my case, they're pop tokens. These again are the currency of the game you can use to spend to activate card abilities or put cards into play. So at the top of the round, whoever is the commentator will pick the event for that round in the appropriate week. They'll pull one of those event cards and read the description aloud, and then you'll be filling the event pool with crowd points. These are what you're gonna be tapping into to get more of this currency in the game, right? So from there, you will set those up from audience modifiers that are on gimmick cards. You'll find that in the left corner of the card, as well as titles being defended and feuds that might be in play will all kind of dictate what that pool is to start. And then players in turn order will announce what they're going to be doing this round. Either they're just going to be sitting back and enjoying the show, skipping any matches this round. They might be wrestling a dark match, which means there's no TV present, which means also that it's going to be a much easier match. And you can only do this if you're in an opener level of your particular strength level in the game. And then you can also choose to wrestle a superstar, which is what a normal match might look like. And then you can also challenge a champion. So players who chose to wrestle a superstar will draw a superstar card, getting ready for that battle when it's their turn. But the commentator actually gets to set the player order for this particular round. And then all players are going to draw ring cards in player turn order, and now it's time to wrestle. So in your turn, there's really 4 main phases. The first one being right away, you're going to draw the ring card face up. And if it happens to be an angle or a feud card, you will apply those effects immediately. Lots of different things here. But you might get something like signing autographs, giving you more currency in the game, or you might be setting up a steel cage match as a feud when you do some PvP. Lots of different things around these cards and how they work, and maybe not apply necessarily to what the effects are when you draw them. So you keep that in mind as well. But in general though, you will activate these effects if you can. Anything else will generally just go back to your hand. The second phase of your turn is known as drama, which I love. Basically, give me the mic, I have something to say. But the commentator that playing that role will roll against the chart on the event card. And whatever that might be, you will have to follow the instructions of that card. But players around the table do have the opportunity to play a drama card like Sneak Attack, which can alter what happens here as well. So lots of different things around how drama works, and I just like that. It gives that flavor, again, more kind of a role play around the game for sure. Now, phase 3 is the wrestling match that you're going to be engaged with, be it either for the belt or just a superstar or even just a dark match. Now, if you take a look at this opponent that I'm going up against, this is Bradley, you'll see that he has a series of numbers on his card. You've got 3, 7, 17, and 30, which dictate what level you're fighting him at. So in the black, that's a dark match. So you can see that doing dark matches might be a great way for you to kind of level up your character and get some of those win points to give you more strength in the game and so forth. A great way to build yourself up at the beginning. But here we are just doing the opening match, which is a 7. I need to beat his 7. So right out of the gate, I'm already a 4. And because his weakness is my strength, I get a +2. And then I'm going to throw in this big signature move of mine, which is a 5 because I'm an expert at aerial attacks. So easily defeating him, but lots of interesting things around the different moves that you can put into play. Like basic moves, you can only play 3 of those cards. For these signature moves, you can only play 2. And for your finishing moves, you only do 1. However, There are also swindle cards that you can put into play that allow you potentially to play even more of the different types of move cards in order to activate them and just dominate your opponents. But swindle cards can also be used to give yourself more attire. Lots of different things around some of these really neat cards and how you combo things and put them together for sure. So that's just real basics around what a battle might look like. You know, in a full game, you might only have some basic moves to play and you're just barely winning or going up against him. So the thing is that on these cards, again, you'll see some different levels. If you're weakest at this move, you'll see what your value is. If you're kind of average, so you don't have weak or expert level in this, you'll see what your level will be just using aerial attack, because anybody can do aerial attack. You don't have to be an expert to use it. So those are things to keep in mind for sure. But as you put those basic moves into play, you can start to combine the cards and so forth. And when you're done playing cards, it's kind of up to the commentator to confirm no further cards can be played, and he'll call the results in hopefully a creative and fun way. And then you, hopefully you have won, and you collect rewards. So based on the level that you fought at will determine the level of rewards you get. And what's neat too is that on a pinfall or submission, you're going to be drawing 3 cards and you'll get to pick one of those. And just depends again on the level that you fought at, how many cards you might get and how many windfall points that you're going to get as well to help build up your wrestler and be even more powerful for down the road. And the final phase of your turn is really just about discarding cards down to your maximum hand limit, which is typically 4 cards. But the thing here is that if you are a mid-carder or a main eventer, you will be discarding cards down to any openers. Anybody you choose, you can discard to them to use perhaps on their turn and so forth. So, or you're just gonna be, discarding to the appropriate pile on the main board. So those are really the basics around play. And again, you're gonna be going through the 12 rounds. You'll be trading off being a commentator versus just wrestling, or maybe you're gonna sit and just watch because you need to kind of gear up for that next round and so forth. And in the end, you hope that you have the highest level belt and you've been able to defend it. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, this was just a brief look at how the game kind of works. There's lots of integral rules that could potentially come into play, like helping each other out in a fight, or hindering other players, and all kinds of different things around feuds and how those might work. But also there are weapons to be found that you could potentially use in the game, which might force you to turn into a bad guy, but you'll be rolling against the events and the different referees will be rolling based on what's happening in the game. But I really like this aspect of the commentator who's actually actively playing and commentating on the fight that's happening at the table at that time. So just some really neat things about how you can progress in this game and build up your particular wrestler by getting different managers, different wrestling moves. I like the gimmicks, and I definitely like the attire. Just all the flavors that you would expect if you know pro wrestling and some of the fun that comes around it. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.